What's up, guys? Dan here for BladeReviews.com, back again with another knife review. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Hogue EX01, and this is Hogue's first entry into the world of production knives. To get them there, they did not screw around. They decided to enlist the help of world-renowned custom knife maker Allen Elishewitz to both design and oversee the manufacture of these folding knives. And I'll tell you, quite impressive for a company's first attempt at making a production knife here. Very impressive indeed. Made in the USA. A lot to say about this one, so I'm just going to get on into it. Now, in terms of the specs, the overall size and weight of the knife, it's a little confusing because you have two different sizes. You've got the smaller 3.5-inch blade version shown here, and then you've got one with a 4-inch blade. Adding to the confusion, you've got two different blade shapes, tanto, and then the drop point shown here. And then you've got two different handle materials. You've got a G10 handle, which again is shown here, and you've also got an aluminum handle, and that changes the weight slightly. I'm going to just put all that stuff on the blog post. I'll also annotate it here in the video. But suffice to say, this particular version, overall length 8 inches, 3.5-inch long blade, weight 4.3 ounces, aluminum version slightly heavier, 4.6 ounces. Okay, let's get into something a little more interesting. I've got a couple size comparisons. First up, Spyderco Paramilitary 2. You can see the EX01 is right in the ballpark with the Paramilitary 2. Same can be said about the Benchmade Griptilian, full-size grip. And I've also got a high-value offering, the Rat Model 1, their folder, cool knife. I like how the green and black contrasts here. Makes for an interesting visual, wouldn't you agree? So there you go. EX01 is a nice size knife. The 3-inch version is comfortable enough for EDC. That's how I've been carrying it. But it is large enough to flex into a self-defense, tactical, quote-unquote role, depending on how you see it. The 4-inch knife, I haven't owned one myself. I've handled a couple. They are large and in charge. Definitely a bigger knife. Not something I would feel very comfortable EDCing, but that's up to you. So with that said, let's start taking a closer look at the blade. And what we have here, as I mentioned before, is the drop point version of the knife. Really nice modified drop point blade. You can see already the mirror polished edge. It was catching the light there a little bit. But before we get into that, let's take a closer look at the geometry. You've got a fairly thick piece of blade stock here. Nothing crazy thick, but it is almost 4 millimeters thick, 3.81 or 0.15 inch thick, 154 cm, and 154 is a great steel. I've spoken about it at length. Nice mid to high range steel. This has been given a very nice tumbled or stone-washed finish. The 154 has also been cryo heat treated to 57, 59 HRC, and it's been performing really well for me in my kind of daily routine EDC sort of testing and tasks. So cutting up cardboard, a little bit of food prep, packages, paper, that sort of thing. It's working out really well. The blade grinds on this knife, very nice. You'll notice it's got a little bit of a swedge along the top. It's got a high, flat grind, and really pretty and just well done. Now, one of the most impressive things on the blade is the edge, and I have tried to preserve that edge for you so you can at least see a little bit of its glory. It's faded somewhat after use, but that is actually a mirror polished edge that comes with the knife. Most impressive. You do not see I haven't seen any other production knife shipped with a mirror polished edge like this, and apparently this is the standard for all their knives. Just an amazing display of quality control and attention to detail. Nice touch. Of course, it came exceedingly sharp, and just a handsome knife. So you're going to want to try and strop this to preserve the mirror polish, but you know, eventually I'm going to have to take a stone to it, and that kind of disappoints me a little bit. But for the meantime, it's a beautiful mirror polished edge. Really cool. Let's move on to the handle here. Like I said before, this is the G10 version. Hogue actually calls this G-Mascus. It's their kind of proprietary G10 laminate, and it is in fact layered G10 that I guess has some sort of inconsistency, some waves in the upper layer. So when they finish the knife, it gives this sort of faux Damascus kind of pattern, hence G-Mascus. Personally, Personally, between you and me, I think it's a little hokey. I mean, the whole Damascus thing. It's different. It's definitely going to appeal to some people. To others, not so much. I would probably prefer like a more plain kind of handle. In retrospect, I should have just bought the aluminum version of the knife. But I can say the G10 is nice and strong. It's been beautifully finished. Look at that, the way that the two handle slabs come together and the attention to detail here. The G10, nicely finished. And construction is just top notch on this thing. Fit and finish is excellent. Interesting little detail. You'll notice it's got this recessed lanyard pin rather than a more standard lanyard hole. I don't use lanyards on my folders, but I can still appreciate this one. I think it's pretty neat. And yeah, impressive. Just impressive. Hopefully I'm doing it justice by getting you in there and seeing how it all comes together. But I am quite pleased with the level of fit and finish and craftsmanship on this knife. As far as ergonomics go, you'll notice it's got this finger choil here that sits back a little bit on the knife. It sort of maximizes your reach a bit, gives you an extra inch or so where you wouldn't normally have it with, say, I don't know, this paramilitary 2, you got this choil allowing you to really choke up. This pushes it back, might make the knife more of a tactical kind of knife, but of course nothing is stopping you from choking up like that either. Very comfortable though. You'll notice the handle is curved, sort of melts into the palm, and just a great knife to work with. I've really enjoyed using this one. And that's thanks in part to the great ergonomics. Does feel really good in reverse grip as well. Haven't had any issues with hot spots or anything like that, although can't say I spent hours in the woods whittling with this one either, but feels real solid. Really pleased with the ergonomics. Let's talk briefly about the pocket clip, which is kind of an interesting departure from the rest of the design, especially the Tanto version with a very angular kind of harpoon looking Tanto blade. You've got this bulbous sort of feminine almost looking rounded spoon clip, so a bit of a contrast, but I'll tell you, it works really well. It's been nicely finished and it rides deep, easy to insert and remove from the pocket. You've got two corner carry here, tip up, tip down, right side carry, and it's a nice clip, you know. It's kind of big, a little flashy, but it totally works. As far as carry goes, this knife feels great in pocket. It's relatively light, just over 4 ounces for this one, and it's the kind of knife that just disappears. I don't really feel it, and maybe that's got something to do with the G10. I know the aluminum's a little bit heavier, but I like the way this one carries a lot. Relatively slim, unobtrusive, packing a good amount of blade, and you don't really feel like you're toting around a boat anchor or anything like that. So carries nicely. Let's talk a little bit about the thumb studs and the method of opening this knife, and of course ambidextrous thumb studs here protruding out, easy enough to get at, and you can flick the knife open with great speed and authority. I like that a lot. Internally, you've got a very interesting system that is worth talking a little bit about. For the G10 version of the knife, there is a partial, very small liner. It's going to be difficult to see, but really it's just around the pivot area, and what it is it's kind of like an integral washer. So there are no phosphor bronze or Teflon washers in here. Instead, there's a stainless steel insert, a very large one, and that mates directly with the tang of the blade, and it results in a very smooth and easy to open knife. I like it a lot. Reading up a bit on Allen Elishewitz and his thoughts on it, basically it's steel on steel. It's going to burnish and just get smoother and smoother with time. It's a very large surface. There's a lot of surface area there, so it will wear very smoothly and just burnish up a bit and should be good to go for a very long time. So I'm liking it a lot. Definitely different. The aluminum version apparently does not include the stainless steel. Instead, it is aluminum on the blade tang, and that is especially interesting because it's been given a Type 3 hard anodizing coating, and according to Allen, that too will just burnish over time. So no washers in this knife. Very interesting, and like I said, nice and smooth. I do like it a lot. For lockup here, we've got a button lock, and I love the way that they put these knives together. I love the choice of hardware. You'll see it's got these little circles along the pivot, around the button lock. You'll notice on this external safety, it's also got that kind of theme. just handsome and contrasts nicely with the green handles there. Button lock is very secure. You can see how it operates here. You've got a plunger. You depress that and the blade can swing freely. So very secure, no issues, no blade play or anything like that. The only thing that I really don't care for is this external safety. And what it can do is it can lock the knife open, can't lock the knife closed. Not that I really need it to lock the knife closed, but it only locks the knife open, and it does tend to get accidentally engaged, at least in my use. I tried tightening down this little screw, didn't do much. I guess you could take it out, although then it doesn't look that good. It's just a big hole in the handle of your knife. So personally, I could do, there you go, it's engaged. I could do without the external safety, but maybe that needed to be included for legal reasons or something. I don't know, but personally, I would leave that out. All right, that pretty much takes us through the review, the entire knife. Final thoughts. Very impressed. Very, very impressed with the Hogue EX01. I think it's an exceptional knife. I just love the attention to detail, the fit and finish. Good materials. Definitely 154 cm still a good steel. I know there's better stuff out there. Made in the USA, and I'll tell you, things like the blade centering, outstanding. I don't know if you can really get a good look at this thing, but it's very well made. You're paying about $150 for the 3.5-inch version, closer to $200 for the 400, and I'll tell you, for $150, you are definitely getting a lot of knife for the money. If you're comparing this with something like the Paramilitary 2, it's a very solid knife. I think a lot of people are very happy with the Para 2, but when you look at the fit and finish, when you look at how these things are constructed, you can definitely see where the extra $50 goes, and I think you get a pretty good return on your investment. So I'm very pleased with the EX01. I look forward to handling more Hogue knives, reviewing more of their products, and I do recommend this one. I highly recommend it for EDC. The larger one looks cool for a tactical kind of application or collector, but really I can't speak too much on it. So that is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, this is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions. Thanks again. Take care. Talk to you soon in the form of another knife review.